Welcome back to 30 by 30, my vlog where I do 30 things before I turn 30 years old. In this week's episode, we are going to take a drive down the road to therapy. And it's crazy because when I first started 30 by 30 and I had like my little intro video where I explained everything, I was very intentional about not pre-planning my 30 things because I knew things would pop up that I would do and that I wanted to share about. So that's why I didn't like pre-write a list of 30 things. Well, one of the things that I had no idea that I would be doing this past year was therapy. And I wanted to kind of give you all a little insight into it because, to be honest, I know a lot of people talk about therapy. It's becoming a little bit more known, like, hey, it's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with you if you do therapy. But I think it's like, okay, you're in your mind, you're like, okay, let's try it. But then what are the next steps? That's where I really struggled with. So I wanted to share a little bit about my journey to hopefully maybe help you with yours if you are looking to do this. Since I shared just like a little, like, I haven't shared a whole lot, but I've shared like a little here and there. And I've had a couple of people come to me and ask me questions. And the three that I'm going to answer today are: one, where do you even start? Like, where do you even find a therapist? So that's the first one. Second is around how much does it cost? And third is what to expect when you're doing therapy. Like, what does it look like? So I wanted to invite you on this journey with me. We're gonna go ahead, and I thought it'd be fun just to hop in the car and kind of go, and I would explain some things along the way. So that's what we're gonna do right now, and I hope this is helpful for you. Okay, here we go. I forgot I parked my car in the garage because we are about to get a huge snowstorm. Okay, hopefully this works out. I'm just gonna leave that there while I drive, and here we go. And we'll just chat. We'll drive and talk and chat. Okay, let me shut the garage door. Okay, I'm calling this the road to therapy, and it's all working out. So I have a little Christmas gift for my therapist. Oh, yeah, I have a mask, okay. That I haven't been able to give to her because when I tried to stop by, she was out of the office and they were closed for a little bit for the holidays. So we're actually gonna drive to her office and we'll see if I can run in and grab, or at least leave her gift. I'm sure she might be in sessions, but okay. So the first question, I guess I will kind of back up and say last July 2021 was, oh man, we all know about COVID. It basically shut things down. Life slowed down a ton. And in July, I had this like moment where I took a staycation because I literally just like, I needed to slow down. It's like crazy because life slowed down so much. And then I felt like the vaccines were out. I got my vaccine, and then it was just like life picked up, like, and it would go in a million miles a minute, which was like great. It was nice to see everyone. It was nice to do things, but it was just a lot. There was a lot happening. And I will say, like, there wasn't one particular thing that was wrong. And that's the thing I guess I want to let you know with therapy. It's not, you can go just to go. You don't have to have, like, if there's not a big event that happened, that's totally okay. You can still go to therapy and get kind of the help you need. In July, on my staycation, I knew that I wanted to spend part of it looking into therapy and figuring that out. And what I actually did, because I listened to a lot of podcasts, I heard a lot of online therapy, and so I actually signed up for a couple different they were apps, and I actually really liked one of them because it was crazy because they sent you emails too and like checked in with you on, you rated like certain things, and I could tell when I was doing better, doing worse, or things like that. And they had little lessons that you did throughout the app, but I just knew that I needed something more. So that was great, but I knew I needed someone to actually talk to, like a real live human. I think that those can serve its purpose. The other thing is there is online therapy where you actually have a real person on the other side. I wanted to meet with someone though. My job, I do a ton of stuff online. I do so many conference calls. I do so many, I'm in technology all the time. I just wanted to meet with someone. So after I did I tried out a couple apps and I was like, oh, this is a good start, but I don't think like this is it. I was like, I don't even know where to find a therapist. Like, how do you find a therapist? So I reached out to a couple friends that I know that do therapy, counseling. They were both very helpful, and one of my friends sent me a link to a website, and I will put it in the notes on the YouTube video, like down below, so you can look in the description. But I think it's called Psychology Today, and it literally, you just put in your location and then it pulls up all of the therapists that are in your area, and then you can also search by other things. Totally forgot to do this for mine, but you can search by your insurance, which is helpful. The thing that I really love about this is everyone has like a little bio, and so you can read a little bit about the person. Now that I'm saying this, I'm like, it probably sounds like online dating, which some people do refer to like finding your therapist kind of like dating, because your first one may not be the right person for you, so you may need to date around a little bit. But it is really cool because they have profiles. A lot of them have pictures, some of them even have videos, which is very helpful because you can kind of get a sense of who the person is. And you can also read in there like what they specialize in. Like if you are going through like an eating disorder, like there's people who specialize in that. If you are going through divorce, there's people who specialize in that. If like there's different things, so you can look for that. You want someone that like you can talk to, like that you feel comfortable with. That website was so helpful, and I actually, the first person, like, it wasn't the first person I found, but like the first person I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is her. I sent her an email. Actually, there on that website there's a contact form, so you can contact the person. So I contacted my therapist. Well, at the time she was not my therapist, but I contacted her and I just asked, I think the subject line was even like first time therapy, and back in here, thank God for backup games. All right, there we go. Okay, so I emailed her and I just said like, this is my first time, like I'm looking for a therapist, and I was asking too about like the price point, because I forgot, or I didn't realize that you could search by insurance. So she wrote me back, like honestly I think it was that night she sent me a note back, and it was very helpful. She encouraged me to, she said that she had openings, which was great. She did make sure that I was over, I think 18, because if not, I think you need a parental, like you need to go that route. That, and then she told me to call my insurance, and so I did that to figure out how much they would cover. So she did say that she took, I think I told her I have Anthem, and she said that she was under that umbrella, but I would need to call them to figure out like the actual coverage. So did that, and I guess that will lead into the second part, but that website is very, very helpful. Right now I'm actually going to run in to see if my therapist is in, so I can leave her little gift, her Christmas gift. It's an ornament, a card, so it's nothing too crazy. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and answer the second part, all about money. Okay, I'm back. I didn't see her. I left the gift. It was unlocked, so that was nice. Now that I'm back, I'm glad that I dropped that off. So I just left it, they have like a little waiting room which is nice. I'm sure she was in a session. The door to the main building was unlocked, but her door was shut, so I didn't want to like interrupt or anything. But okay, what else? Okay, the pay. How much therapy costs? I am gonna tell you mine. I don't know what it is for everyone because this is my first time. My therapist, her rate is $150 per session, but my insurance covered a lot of that. I think there's a lot of insurances that do cover therapy. So when I called the number on the back of my insurance card, I talked to a very nice lady, and she actually told me that my insurance covers, like, I would have to pay 20%, which, gosh, you guys are gonna like laugh at me because I'm using a calculator. But okay, so, or you know what, her rate, actually, I don't think it's $150. I think it's $120. Each session is $120, and my insurance, I thought they paid 20%, but they just charged the copay, which is $25. I will say though, your first visit, at least this is how my therapist did, it was $150 for an intake session, and basically that is just when she's getting to know me a little bit more. I'm getting to interact with her. She fills out like family history, just like she talks about like your whole, like ask you questions about your life. And actually, bringing that up, I have, well, before that, when I first started doing therapy, I did the intake session, and then, oh, that's the other thing that you talk about in the intake session, is kind of like your frequency of going. So I started going every other week, and I did that for a couple months, and then we got to a place where I was like, you know what, I think I'm in a spot now where I can go once a month. Instead of doing every other week, we did once a month. And then actually in December, we kind of reached a spot, like I felt like I got what I needed for right now, and we both talked, and I'm actually currently not on the schedule for monthly appointments anymore. I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to stop going, but she told me, she was like, oh, if you ever need anything, like we can make a one-off appointment, which totally works. So that's like the cost and a little bit more that I went into. I would say, you know, if you're paying out of pocket, it may be a little pricey, but definitely like look into the insurance route, because I'm sure you can get a good chunk of it covered. And honestly, like the $50 a month when I was going twice a month, like that was like it was just so worth it. So worth it. The next part, the third question, is what is therapy like? And I'm sure it's a little bit different for everyone. Every therapist, I'm sure, has their own different ways. One of the things that I liked about my therapist, one that I met in person, which I already kind of mentioned, but you can totally do the virtual thing if you would prefer that. I also liked that my therapist, she offered like in person, but also like in her office. But I think like with COVID and everything too, if we wanted to take our appointment outside and like do it on a walk, like there's some trails around her office, we could do that too. We never did that. I mean, it was also like the weather was like going into the winter, it started getting cold and stuff, so we never did that. But I did like that was one of the things that appealed to me too. So I bought this journal, I think it was like right around the time that I started going to therapy. And it was crazy because I took a staycation in the summer, which was a week-long staycation that I was just like, oh man, I told my therapist in my last session, I was like, have you ever heard of that song Hey World by Lee Brice? And she hadn't, but basically it's like, hey world, leave me alone, I don't want to come to the phone, like I don't want to talk to you, I just want to be like in my own little spot and like don't bother me type thing. Like that's how I felt in July last year. And then by December, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I heard that song on the radio, like right before I visited her my last time. And I was like, I wasn't even like rattled by it. Like it was just totally, I didn't get, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's from before. Like I feel like different now about that. I was like, that's a really good sign. But the day before I had gone to my intake, my first intake appointment, I did like a little solo vacation. I rented an Airbnb for a night. It was so fun. I mapped out my vlogs for the year, oh my gosh, it's crazy because my vlogs are ending in 1 week. I have 1 week till my 30th birthday and I've got 3 to go. This one, gotta do my oven one, and then my 30th one, which will wrap it up, and I'm gonna announce my next passion product. But long story short, it's just crazy because I did that one where I felt like hopeless, and then I had that other like solo vacation. I was like, I just felt really good because I felt like things were starting to move. And I think that's the thing with therapy, is you got to take it like just like one little step at a time, because if not, it's overwhelming. And I remember coming literally in this parking spot that first day, and I was like I had never been inside. I was like, oh, I'm like a little nervous. I'm like, all right, I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm just gonna go, like it's gonna be great. And I came out after my appointment, and I had this journal that I bought a couple weeks before, and I just wrote down my thoughts. And so for my next couple sessions, I pulled out this this journal and I wrote little things. So yeah, my intake session, we reviewed the paperwork, did like a life overview as a whole. Oh yeah, I even say here I was a little nervous going in. I started overthinking it, but then I like stopped and I prayed in the car, and I was just like, all right, God, get me through it. And then so this green wall, I took a selfie, and that was one of the things that like every time I came out of therapy, I would take a selfie on this green wall, which I just thought was fun because every time we talked about different things, and for me, photos help me remember things. And so there were a lot of like little lessons. There were things that she would say that caused me to think about things in a different way. So I guess the third part, like what is it like? So you'll go in, and my sessions were 50-minute sessions. I would come in, and she had a couch that I sat on, and she would sit in like a little chair, kind of like sort of in front to the side, and a lot of times she was like ask me like how I'm feeling, how I'm doing, and usually there would be something that came up since the last time that I seen her, and I had jotted down some notes, things that I wanted to talk about, and she would help me work through them. There's just like these little shifts. It's nice having someone that you can go to that is an unbiased opinion, and you can just like let it all out. They also bring a different perspective. So I think because in my mind, I am always thinking about things like one, like, you know, everyone has like their own perspective, but she encouraged me to think about things a little bit differently. And I even remember there was one session I was just like, I left there and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't appreciate, I guess, what she said. And then later I thought about it and I was like, you know what she said, actually it was good for me to hear. Journaling was helpful because there's these little takeaways that I would have moving forward the next couple weeks. I would use them and apply them in my life. But one time I was really struggling with saying no. I'm like, I want to be everything to everyone. I was really struggling with it. Like, all right, Ashley, is this something you actually want to do, or are you just doing it just to like people please? I remember one of the things she told me, you can say no and you don't have to explain yourself. And that night a situation popped up, and I practiced like what she preached, and it was just, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like so good about that. She had recommended a couple of different podcasts and books, and I would jot those down. I did actually listen to one of the podcasts, and I started one of the audiobooks, and it's just helpful. I think everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different because you are taking different things to the session or the table. But I also know that sometimes, like, I want to prepare that sometimes it's got to get worse before it can get better. And therapy is like, it's ongoing. I would say it's fluid. That, like, I thought I was doing pretty good, and then I had a mental breakdown, and I think this was it. I think it was in November, and I lost, like, it was not good. I worked myself up to the point where like I couldn't breathe, like I was crying, I was just like screaming, like I was like this isn't worth it anymore. I fell into Manny's dog bed and I just wanted to like give up. I feel like sometimes, you know, there's just a lot going on, and yeah, that was really tough. But when I went to therapy and I talked through it, she reminded me that, you know, sometimes you've got, like, if you hit the bottom, it's because like you're going up from there. Like sometimes like it's you don't want, like, you wouldn't wish that on anyone, but sometimes you've got, like, you'll die, like you'll have those wake up calls, and then it's like you have to put some things in place to change that. So anyways, I hope this wasn't a ton of rambling. I hope this was helpful. I am sure this is gonna be like one of my longer vlogs because I explained a lot of things. All right, as I'm leaving, I want to say therapy is awesome, 100% worth it. And if you have any further questions, you can reach out to me directly. I know that some of my friends really helped me kind of get into the place where I was able to go to therapy, like where I could understand like what was even happening. So I just wanted to be a resource to you as well. So if you need a little bit of help getting started or finding therapists, shoot me a note and I am happy to help. I guess real quick, I know it's raining, but it's just like tradition when I'm here to take a selfie. I'm going to go out and take a little picture real quick, and then we'll drive home. The road to therapy. Here and back.